You are listening to the Michael Yaffee program, wnsc.ucf.edu online radio. Remember, if you want to talk to me during the show, just instant message me, radio WNSC. I will respond. I will, comment what you say on the air. I mean, let's have a discussion. Let's have a little bit of a talking back and forth. But if you happen to miss a lot of the show, can't make it all, go to my blog, Michael Yaffee. That's Michael Yaffee.blogspot.com. I record all the shows and post them on there, post the links on there, and then you can see them. So it's good stuff. Good stuff. Good stuff. Okay, this is from the American Spectator, and as you probably already know, Obama introduced his budget plans. Yep. And according to the Congressional Budget Office, 25% of our economy refers only to the cost of the federal government. 25% of our GDP is federal government. State and local government adds over 50% more, increasing the total cost of government in America to almost 40% of GDP. Talk about so much. We need more regulation. We need more government. It's 40% of GDP. That's according to the nonpartisan Congressional Budget Office. Not me. Just saying. It's according to the American Spectator. On Monday, President Obama publicly submitted his new budget. The budget forthrightly answers Republican Hen Sarling's question, which he proposed Obama a question earlier this week about this, even though President Obama would not in the light of national television broadcast. President Obama's own budget confesses that it would more than triple. Let me say it again, so you can hear it. President Obama's own budget confesses that it would more than triple the national debt from $5.8 trillion, that's with a T, at the end of 2008 to $18.6 trillion by 2020. During the glorious 2008 campaign for Hope and Change, then-candidate Obama harshly criticized George Bush for running $3.3 trillion in deficits over his 8 years in office, which I agree he shouldn't have done either. But President Obama's new budget confesses that he will run up that much in deficits in just 2 years and 3 months. Moreover, as Brian Riddle of the Heritage Foundation reported on Monday, President Obama would run up more debt over his 8 years than all other presidents in American history, from George Washington to George Bush combined. How are we going to pay for this? Where's this money going to come from? Well, first it's going to come from you, the private sector taxpayer. Second, it's going to come from China. China. But, wait, I got this news report. There's a news report coming in from The Onion, theonion.com, America's most trusted news network, that says Obama is probably going to make a deal with China to try to get this straightened out. Let's see what The Onion has to say about it.
It's The Onion Radio News Weekly World Report. I'm Doyle Redland. President Obama hugged his wife and children for what could be the last time before embarking on a mission to win back $1 trillion of U.S. debt in a double-or-nothing game of Texas Hold'em with the Chinese. Obama sees his 1 in 6 chance of beating the Chinese as a gamble well worth taking.
Look, the Chinese are crazy. But if I don't make it back or crack under the unbearable stress...
Good idea, Obama. Good idea.
Joe Biden he'll be president.
A major archaeological...
Okay, so... so, according to The Onion, Obama's going to go over to China and do a card game. I think this actually makes more sense than some of the stuff he's doing right now. Let's do a card game. Come on, bet all or nothing. Come on. Maybe 1 in 6 chance. Maybe we can win. We can get all our debt back. So he would just spend more anyways. That's a weekly news report from The Onion, America's most trusted news network. All right. President Obama's budget admits a federal deficit for 2010 of $1.6 trillion, 10 times as much as that 2007 deficit of $162 billion. Oh, only $162 billion? That's nothing now. which was the deficit for the last budget adopted by Republican congressional majorities. Oh, those overspending Republicans, those evil Republicans are spending so much on the war, and now we're in all this debt because they spent so much on the war. Whole $162 billion, those evil Republicans. Oh wait, we're at 1.6 trillion now. Oh well, the Democrats are in charge now. So they're spending it on good stuff. Those evil Republicans, they were spending on evil stuff. But the Democrats are in charge now, so I guess they're spending it on good stuff. And their definition of good stuff is more government programs. And what they want, and this is without government-run healthcare. This is without the Obamacare, the 2,000-page healthcare bill. That's how much deficit we're in right now, without even the healthcare bill. They want to pass that. And when I talked about all these things that make Obama lean socialist economically, he also wants the government deeply involved in healthcare. Still think I'm crazy for saying you lean socialist? Yeah, that's what I thought. The spendaholic budgets is still from the American Spectator. The exploding federal deficits and debt are due to President Obama's spendaholic budgets, which increased federal spending in 2009 by 18% over 2008, and in 2010 by 25% from 2008. That was not George Bush and the Republicans who did that. That was President Obama's almost $1 trillion stimulus bill. The stimulus bill that stimulates the government, not the economy, what I talked about earlier. The $400 billion supplemental spending bill a few weeks later, the new supplemental spending bill recently adopted, and the 1/3 increase in federal welfare spending over the first 2 years under. He also wants to increase welfare. Yeah, that he's such a capitalist. He is such a strong capitalist. Man, I was wrong. I mean, come on. Henceling was proved right again by President Obama's budget, which blows up federal spending to a peacetime record of 25.4% of GDP. 25 point. Man, I think we're gonna need to do card games in more places in China, more than one card games. Hopefully, I don't know. I don't even know how do you make this up? How do you make this up? How are we gonna get 25% of GDP back? The Republicans right now and the most conservatives are really focusing on getting Obama and the Democrats to just stop spending. We don't need health care. Stop that too. We don't need all this government intrusion. Stop spending. We don't have it. We don't want to be holding into China, so Obama has to go and do some card game to get the money back. We're trying to get them to stop, but you know what? That's good. That's great. But you know what? It's not going to go far enough. It's not. In a few years, it's going to take cutting back. We are going to have to really cut back government. Reagan, he was famous for starting that whole conservative movement, which cut back government. What we're going to have to do is going to make Reagan look like a spending liberal. We're going to have to cut back so much. We're just going to have to get the idea out of our heads that government needs to give us unemployment benefits, that government needs to take care of our health care, that we need all this welfare, that we need all these government student loans, all this government aid. We're going to have to get all that out of our heads in a few years because we can't afford this debt. There's no way to pay it back. Government is just going to have to be drastically cut. It's not going to be enough to just stop the spending. It's not going to be enough to just stop what they're doing right now. We're going to have to get a conservative in there who really cuts back, and just lets the private sector do what it's supposed to do. And let the government do what it's supposed to do, which is primarily under the Constitution, that document that was supposed to be the law of the land, Under the Constitution, the government's main job is to protect and defend the Constitution from outside and inside forces, like terrorists wanting to blow us up, like other countries like Iran, which I'm going to talk about later, who, if we went to war, we could fight a war, police, firefighters, to protect and defend us. That's the government's job, especially the federal government. The federal government's going to have to stop bailing out states. It's just going to have to stop. They're not going to have the money. They're going to have to stop all this intrusion, welfare, Medicare, Medicaid, Social Security. Something's going to change. Something has to. We can't afford all this. It has to change. Right now we just have to get them to stop the spending, but it's going to have to change. We're going to have to get them to cut back. We don't have any other choice.